Yep.
All right,
All right.
we good? We ready for Mage?
Let's do Mage. Let's do it.
Three, two, one. Welcome back. We are coffeeed up and watered up and peed out, and you are watching Adwicta and Murph's do card review for Witchwood.
Yes. Now armed with too much information. So,
You have
we
not heard this the end of that.
we did Druid and Hunter. Now we're moving on to Mage, the original class, right?
The original arena powerhouse Mage.
Right. Which has been on, kind of shaky ground recently, or at least it's not the world beater that it used to be, right? And that happens with microadjust, that happens with expansions that have given it like pretty meh cards. So let's look at what mages lose with the rotation. And really, there's not a huge theme, except if you want to say the theme is Firelands Portal. They lose their powerhouse cards from One Night and Karazhan. Like, if they could keep one expansion, it would be Karazhan, in which they had Babbling Book, Firelands Portal, and their crummy card, which was like Medivh's Valet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they also lose two important sort of early game AoEs in Twilight Summoner and Volcanic Potion. And I'm happy about this because I never believed they should have had it. But anyways, that's sort of what mages are losing. Another important card is Kabbalah's Tome.
Kabbalah's Tome.
Which is an important reload in Control Mage, or if you want to play the Control style. Very annoying. Once again, a lot of people don't like the random cards that mages can get. But that's sort of what mages are losing. So yeah, they're losing some pretty important like powerhouse cards in Firelands Portal and, for a Control style, Kabbalah's Tome. And if you are playing against Mage, you don't have to worry about the Firelands Portal or the various sort of cheap AoEs that they can have in the early or mid game.
Yep. So overall, the meta is trending towards a easier defense, but for Mage, it's actually going to be a harder defense. Which is fair because they had a pretty easy time defending before that. Okay, so let's look at the new cards that are coming in. The first new card replaces Kabbalah's Tome. And it's only 2 mana instead of 5. And if you know me, I've hated Kabbalah's Tome. I did not think it was a very good card. I never drafted it high. It's way too much RNG for me to handle. And this card is entirely different than that. We didn't rate Kabbalah's Tome very high. We rated it like a 100, maybe like a little over, maybe a little under, depending on which meta it's in. But Book of Scepters is a 164.
Specters.
Book of Specters is a 164.
It is.
That puts it above a Fireball and a Frostbolt. Not quite a Polymorph or Flame Strike. Not a Primordial Glyph. We're not at Glyph levels of Insanity yet. And that's because it's only 2 mana, you draw 3 cards, and you're probably keeping 2 of them. So it's a 2 mana Arcane Intellect, with the penalty being all the cards you keep are going to be minions, because you have to discard any spells drawn. So this is bad if you're building a deck and you need certain spells like you're in Constructed, but you're in the arena, so spells are better than minions generally, but overall you're in the arena, you don't really care.
Right. And once again, we hopefully you guys know this, but discarded cards don't matter until you go into fatigue. Like it doesn't matter until it actually matters at the end of the game, right? So the
until
spell
turn 20.
Right. If you discard any spells, it is just at the end of your deck, essentially. And you have a decent chance of 2 mana just draw 3 cards. And a lot of times it'll be 2 mana, draw 2 cards, which is absolutely fine.
Yep. And one thing I guess, okay, so it's a epic card, so it's not going to be seen as often, but between the lower number of card pools and the offering bonus, you're going to actually see this offered as many times as a Kabbalah's Tome was. So mages are still there. What I like about this card is that the reload is not just like control focused, because Kabbalah's Tome gives you spells. Control uses more spells. So if you're playing Kabbalah's Tome, and it's like very anti-tempo because it's 5 mana, so if you're using Kabbalah's Tome, it's like really playing into this Control Mage style and makes Control Mage pretty powerful. Book of Scepters can be used on anything. It can be used in a control style to get more card advantage. It can be used in an aggressive style to reload. It's really much more flexible and much more interesting of a card than Cabal Stone, as well as being less RNG.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Another really good card. These are like very powerful cards, by the way. Like these are like Fireball level, like Blizzard level, like cards. Arcane Keysmith, 4 mana 2/2, Battlecry. Discover a secret. Put it into the battlefield. So there's not that many secrets. You're going to be able to get one of the good ones because a lot of Mage secrets are pretty good, and you're just paying 1 mana more to get an extra 2/2 on the board. And on top of all that, Mage secrets generally scale, like a mirror entity or a counter spell. Like later turns, if they spend more mana on something, you get more benefit. So it's not like one of those like, oh, we missed turn 3, can't do secrets anymore. This is like the time to play a secret and get a body out there. And it beats the tempo, right? You're getting 5 mana's worth of stuff for 4 mana. And
it's
you have a Discover.
Really good. Right. Like part of the problem with secrets is like you draw it, you only have that secret. This is like you have your pick of secrets.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is just like a really, really, really good card. Which is kind of, you know what? It's kind of funny because I was thinking, I was like, how are they going to give mages good cards that still fit their sort of archetype?
This is a great idea.
This is a great idea. Like, I like the design so far. Look, Arcane Keysmith is going to be really annoying. I can already feel it.
Yep.
But I'm like, you know what? This is sort of a fair-ish way without them printing a Firelands Portal, without them printing a Meteor, right? Which traditionally has been, you know, kind of what they've done with Mage. It's like, all right, we need a good Mage card. Boom, Meteor.
Yep.
And this is like, I think, a slightly fairer way to give them super premiums. So it'll be interesting.
It's people in chat are asking if it discovers all the secrets and how does it compare with Fresh from Kazakis, which is leaving the meta. This puts it on the board. You're going to take the secret putting onto the board over an extra 1/1's worth of body. Like, that's a huge difference. This is much better. Well, okay. It's significantly better than Cabalist whatever guy.
Cabal Courier,
yeah.
Yeah.
So Arcane Keysmith is a premium card. Like, I just want to go back. If you've been watching this thing in order, you did Druid and a Hunter. And Druid, we made a big deal out of the Druid of the Scythe. Because it was a 156. Anything over a 150 I consider overpowered. That will win you games by itself. Hunters didn't have anything like that. Their highest one is a 125, and wherever this Hunting Mystique is going to end up dropping to. Mage already has 2. Sure, they're both epics, but they already have a Book of Specters, 164, and an Arcane Keysmith at 149. So Mage is doing pretty well so far in terms of power level, even though they're epic cards. So they'll be seen less frequently.
Yep.
And let's continue this. Like, you're just gonna see this whole, like, Mage is coming out very well in Witchwood. This is one of the only expansions that in recent memory where Mage actually comes out of it, and you're like, this is a whole bunch of stuff Mage can do stuff with. Like, you're going to have fun playing Mage, and they're not going to be blatantly overpowered, but they're going to be right there with the top classes if they bucket everything correctly. Bonfire Elemental is next. It's a simple card, 5 mana, 5/5. Battlecry, if you played an Elemental last turn, draw a card. Elementals are going up. Everybody's going to have more Elementals because the card pool is shrinking, and Ungoro is still there. On top of that, both of the Ungoro, like, elemental users, or like I guess the one big elemental user that Mage has is still in the meta, and that's the Surger, the Steam Surger. And Bonfire Elemental just adds to that. So it makes the Mage a very, very elemental centric class.
Yep. So this is one of those cards in which the upside is definitely there. It is an elemental itself, and as we've seen, 5 mana 5/5 is like okay.
It's totally normal curve card.
Yeah, totally normal, and it's one of the first turns in which you kind of are okay with understated, understatedness. So, good card, 122. You'll probably see it often.
Yeah.
Just once
and remember, 5 health. Yeah. That's the cutoff, right? That's the safe haven. It's a great card. 122. And again, if you have an actual elemental deck, much higher. right? So it depends on how many elementals you have. This is like assuming a normal number of elementals. So if you get it as your first card, for example, go crazy with the elementals. And then there's some drop off, but you're going to get another decent card in Cinderstorm. And here is the first explicitly like control oriented card. It is a removal. It works better with more opponent minions on the board. It deals 5 damage split randomly amongst enemies. It's a 113, so it's like a little bit above average. But it follows that kind of pattern, right? You have Arcane Missiles in a similar ranking. You have Avenging Wrath, a little bit lower than this because it's, you know, higher mana and more clunky. But this randomness does hit opponent's face sometimes, which is annoying. But if your opponent has a bunch of stuff, you can use your hero power to finish it off. It's RNG, but it's pretty flexible.
Yep. Okay. So where is this next card?
The next card, Vexcrow.
Vexcrow. How did I miss Vexcrow? It is a 101. I like how it's not 100. 101. 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. So look, if you look at the score, it's not like it's definitely pickable, right? But once again, whenever you cast a spell, you summon a random 2-cost minion. So after you cast the first spell, it's like about what you get for 4 mana. So if you don't cast a spell with this, it's just not good. Like, it's really bad. And if you cast,
you wait for it. Like, you definitely play it with a spell. Always. Right.
And then if you are able to cast a spell with it, then you have sort of recouped the value that you should have gotten. And then anything past that is a bonus. But once again, that's fairly iffy.
Yeah. So it's an average card. It's a below average card in your deck because your deck will have more than average, but it's an average card overall. And next, I think this is a card that some people are going to overvalue like crazy, and it is not that good. It's a 91, so it's a below average card. Certainly pickable. And if you have the right deck, especially one with a lot of Book of Scepters, for example, or Arcane Intellects, very worth it. But you need that. Like, you need that synergy to make this card work. It's a 5 mana 4/4 Curio Collector, and it's whenever you draw a card, gain +1/+1. So you're not going to draw a card until your next turn normally. So that means your opponent has a whole entire turn to deal with your 4/4, and only after that does it become a 5/5. Like, sure, it grows +1/+1 each turn, but unlike the Daring Reporter, it's growing it. It's growing at the same speed as the Daring Reporter normally, but it costs 1 extra mana. That extra mana means you have to make up for it by drawing an extra card somehow.
Yeah.
And there's not that many cards in Mage that actually draws you another card these days.
Yep. So, yeah, this is... You can control its effect much easier, right? You can buff it much easier because with Daring Reporter, it's much harder to make your opponents draw cards, right, in the arena. Here, really easy for you to draw, well, much easier because there's a lot more cards that do that. But at the end of the day, that +1/+1 matters like so much. The 1 mana cost matters so much, right? So, yeah, you're probably not going to see this too often. But yeah, if you have the deck with like 2 Book of Specters and also just some other draw as well, this could be really good. A lot of these cards that are below average will still be really good in the right deck.
Yep, and this is a great example of it. Snap Breeze, 2 mana. It's rated as 69. You don't want to be the one taking this card. It's a 2 mana, freeze a minion. If it's already frozen, destroy it. So it's like the more intense Ice Lance, right?
Yeah.
And Ice Lance was so overpowered in the right deck that they had to remove it from the arena altogether. So Snap Freeze is definitely in that zone, although it can't go face, so it has its limitations. But in the arena, going face is less important.
The implication of Ice Lance going face, like, that's constructed, right? Like, Ice Lance going face, that's constructed.
Yeah.
Here, it's like...
It depends on whether you can get your free synergies going, right? So if you get your free synergies going, this is a pretty insane card. And because it's not Shatter, it's Shatter 2.0, even if you don't get your free, like, even in worst case scenarios, it at least still does something. And that's worth something. Like, Shatter is a much lower rated card, and it's like a laughable card. This is not a laughable card. This is a usable card. And in the right deck, with enough blizzards, with some like whatever that 1 mana card is, glacial.
Breath of Cinder
Okay,
Ghost.
Breath of Cinder Ghost.
Or Glacial Shard.
Glacial Shards, right?
Glacial Shard is even better.
Yeah. Maybe some Cone of Colds or a Frost Nova. You'll find yourself picking like really weird cards sometimes in the 10.4 drafting system, because, for example, Frost Nova is trash tier, as it should be. But in certain decks, Frost Nova is pretty damn good, even without like direct synergies. Like, you just want to go face, for example, right? Or you just want to hold off, and then you have a lot of board clears. And now you can build on top of that.
I've lost games just because of Frost Nova.
Yeah.
Right.
It works in the right deck, and you have to recognize what the right deck is. But if you're in that, like if you're going down that path and you've made a couple of ice picks, freezing picks, Snap Freeze becomes not just like an okay card, but actually a good card. Like, the potential for this card is high.
Yep.
All right, so that's Mage. There's no real like theme to Mage. It's just a lot of good cards. They fit control, they fit mid-range. Mage is going to be good.
And good. Should we talk about the legendaries?
Yeah, let's talk about the legendaries, just in case you see them. Toki, Time Tinker, 6 mana, 5/5, Battlecry, add a random legendary minion from the past to your hand. That means a wild legendary minion. So it's basically 6 mana, 5/5, draw a legendary, as far as you're concerned in the arena. And it's rated a 120, as it should be. Not a lot to say here.
Yep.
Archmage Arugal, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever you draw a minion, add a copy of it to your hand. So it's a 2 mana, 2/2, where, again, if you can synergize it with card draw, it's really good. But if you can't synergize it with card draw, then it has to survive a turn. And then you have to draw a minion for it to do anything. And it becomes a lot worse.
And it's still just a 2 mana, 2/2. So the sort of like potential for this card, it is there, right? Mm-hmm. It is there. It's just, it's not the consistent sort of winning card that you want in a deck.
Yep. Like, we all think of Mage as being able to draw cards, but they can't really draw cards anymore. Like, their card draw is not, like, Book of Scepters may have an offering bonus, but it's epic. Specters, but it's epic still. And then you have your Arcane Intellect.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you're not drawing a lot of other cards.
Yeah. All right, that is Mage. The classic sort of boogie monster from a long time ago, but it's fallen on some kind of rough times recently. Not that it's bad. It just hasn't dominated the meta in quite a few metas now.
Yeah, I think it's fair, right? Like, Mage has been normal, and Mage is getting a normal amount of good, useful cards that are not too overpowered for the most part. Book of Specters aside, and that's epic, and that's not a card with initiative, and we can deal with that. Yeah. All right. So that's Mage. We'll see you in the next video for Paladin. That's gonna be interesting. See you guys. Okay. You want to just roll this?